Hey Arcaders, Ray the Arcade Guy here from the ArcadeArchives.com. I thought it was time to do another news segment given that this week is San Diego Comic-Con and we are going to have some announcements from Arcade 1-Up Basic Fun. And so far I'm not liking what I'm seeing. So I spent the last few weeks kind of digging around, seeing who else was in this arena. Because it seems that they're the only two, right? Oh no, they're not. You see, there's another company. A company that most people, unless they're in the know and buy parts, would know about this company. And honestly, I didn't even know about this company, but I kept seeing one of their products pop up in my feed all the time. So then I said, let me take a look at what they've got. And let me tell you, I'm really impressed so far. These guys are not about quality, they are about they're all about quality and not quantity. Okay, let's start that over again. Really. The company's called Unico, and they are out of Reno. And they do some pretty awesome cabinets. Now, before we get started, I'm going to show you what I kept seeing. Okay? And it's this guy right here. And now, I don't know about you, but I will say when I was in the arcade industry in the early 90s, Neo Geo was the bomb, okay? Where everybody else was like a standard car, Neo Geo was like the Bentley, you know. Very expensive. Games were really, really well done. Graphics were almost unheard of at the time, the way they were doing them. And their cabinets really stood out. They were bright red, like you see here. Let's see if we can do a close-up here. I think I can. There we go. And as soon as it loads. There we go. So basically, they came in 3 flavors, I think. So you had the kit. You could put MVS board in any cabinet JAMA and play a single game. And the games came on these giant cartridges, okay? You put them in, away you go. They came in a 2-game cabinet, a 4-game cabinet, and a 6-game cabinet. So it was 4 of them, basically. If you want to include the kit as a cabinet. So I dealt a lot in the 6-way cabinets, a lot. And they were a giant board inside, and you could stack all your cartridges, kind of like the Play Choice 10 in a way. You would stack all the little, but these things were massive. You just lock them in place, and they could use a channel select button on the cabinet. You'll see that this actually has that button, and you could pick the game you wanted to play and put your money in, and then it would start that game. And their games were just a wild mix of stuff. They had space shooters. They were known for fighters later on. They had side-scrolling beat-em-ups, very weird platformers. You name it, they did it. Okay. So Unico, I guess, acquired the rights, and they built an actual working cabinet. This thing looks like it takes coins. It does have, you'll see later on in the control panel, there are little digital displays for 1-player and 2-player, and it tells you how many coins you deposit. It's really cool how they did it. I don't know that it has a memory card slot. All the machines, the dedicated ones, had a memory card slot. And you could buy a little memory card. Well, it wasn't it. It was probably the size of a TurboGrafx 16 turbo chip. You'd slip it in, it would record, you'd pull it out. It also had headphone jacks, which at the time was unheard of, okay? So let's take a look. Okay, there's a front view for you. And they always had that left player, right player action going on right there because each coin slot did a different player, which wasn't unheard of at the time because you had, you know, Turtles and Simpsons and all that, and each coin slot operated different characters. So no different here. All right, let's see if we can get. Oh, they even have a chair that goes with it. It looks like it's back or underside lit, which doesn't do anything for me. This gives you the idea. Okay, so it's 32 inches with the stand. This does separate up here. You can see where my pointer is, and you can put it as a countertop arcade. You could set, put it on the pedestal, and it becomes a working arcade cabinet. Really want to see the controls here. Let's see. They love showing up. Okay, so basically, this is probably the best game, the best angle we're going to get. So you have all 6 buttons. You have your 2 joysticks. Left player start, right player start, and then over here you have select game. That's where you can pick each, what game you wanted to play, and each one of these little cards up here would light up, indicating what game you're on. And then over here, you could, well, this is a separate button that they've added, options, but you'll see the little LED displays right there. Okay, that indicates how many coins have gone into the machine. And that's spectacular. They actually added that. And I'm assuming this is a volume knob over here in the corner to adjust volume, being a home unit. Let's see, side view. Really well built. It looks tough. I mean, it really looks like they put the quality in to the unit itself. So I'm really impressed with this machine. But this is what I've seen, okay? And it was everything. Yeah, Temu was selling it, and I would get these ads, random ads about this NVSX, and I needed to know more about it. And for those of you in the know with the NVS system, they've always tried, like Neo Geo, the company that owns Neo Geo now, would always try to release these home console-based units. Some were great, other ones were terrible, but this was the first attempt at an actual NVS style cabinet. And I have to say, really impressed. I think this thing is spectacular. It really does play the part. The price is the best part. These guys are sharp. They're keeping that price point down below 600 bucks. Okay. Now, it comes. Let's see. I'm assuming that the stool is separate. And let's see what it tells you what it comes with here. So it has a Neo Geo operating system. So they're using, more than likely using an emulator, but it's only for Neo Geo. All of them have been fully licensed through SNK. Size-wise, not too bad. A little bit bigger than your standard tabletop unit, so enough room for 2 people if they kind of stand apart a little bit. I would say the distance between the joysticks are about the same as my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So you got your 2-player mode, 50 games preloaded. That's really good. 17-inch, which is pretty standard for the industry. It does support NVS and AES modes, so I'm assuming either A, they're going to sell packages, or B, you can upload your ROMs onto the machine, and it will read them because it probably has all the BIOS files built in already, which is really cool. This is all the games. I mean, now, again, if you don't know much about Neo Geo, later in its life, and I'd say within the first 4 years of its life, it became the fighting game machine. It had everything. King of Fighters, everybody knows about. Metal Slug series, amazing. Has 5X. Yeah, it has 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Samurai Spirits was massive when it came out. Samurai Showdown was massive when it came out. Fatal Fury really started the whole thing. I remember that right off the bat. Like when that first came in, everybody went nuts for that game. World Heroes was massive. Art of Fighting was another one. It scaled as you moved back and forth. You would go into the scene more or away from the scene more. It was really cool how they did it. Let's see, Senjoku, that was another one I really enjoyed. You would inhabit, the spirit would inhabit your body, and you would become like a different fighter every time that happened. Magician Lord, to me, is probably one of the best platformer games I've ever played, and is on every compilation for that reason. Football Frenzy, Baseball Stars 2, gotta have that. Gotta have Baseball Star. Well, it's Baseball Stars Professional. Without that, you'd have nothing. Now, again, I think you'd probably be able to load up your own games on it. I'm thinking. So it does do scan lines if you're interested in that sort of thing. Ah, here we go. This is a better shot. Okay, so that is a volume knob. You can see where it detects the coins, how many coins are in the machine. You've got your options button, which is basically for the operating system. Select game was very typical. Every one of them had that, so you basically change the game and put your money in. I like the layout of the GUI. I love that it has the cartridge box. I think that's really cool. I like that this probably comes with all 50 of these, so you can slap your favorites on the inside. And then let's see. I'm trying to figure out if it comes. Okay, so you've got several options. You've got the combo with the base. Okay. Then you have an extender for that base, so it really raises it up to almost a full-size cabinet, I bet. Then you can do the stool as well. Stools are like huge, and I wish I could afford them, but they start at $100 for these stools, and I think it's crazy, but people love them. So these are the different packages you get. So with the standard package, you're just getting the tabletop unit itself. You can then upgrade probably later on as well, but if you buy the package, you're probably getting it cheaper. I mean, that is incredible. I mean, you look at that machine, that is very professional looking, very slick. It's not the atypical arcade one-up stuff that you see recently that looks so gaudy, especially ones that had nothing to do with the game's, like artwork, original artwork. They would always slap something on it. This is spot on. This is what the MVS system looked like in the arcade. That's why it always piqued my interest, because you look at it and you go, wow, that really stands out in the crowd. Like if I had room for that, I would buy that machine. That's a definite on that. So, and I love that they have the customer reviews. You can go on their site if you buy one, and it really does, hold it with five stars there. You got another 5-star. You got a 3-star here. Screen could be better. Listen, it's 17 inches, okay? All the standard arcade one-up, basic fun, any company, they're using a 17-inch. It's that simple. And we're going to get the monitors in a little bit, because that's another thing they offer with this company. But they're legit. They really put the time and effort into their product. And I really am impressed by that idea, that they are going and putting in the extra mile to make it look authentic, which again is they're about quality and not quantity. They want it to look the part, which speaks volumes to me. So this is the MVS X, okay? So now we'll go over to the Nova Blast, okay? Now, if you're into candy cabinets, and a lot of people are, these are the guys for you, okay? For those of you not in the know, the candy cabinets are standard fare in Japan. They're shorter, all metal, very sleek, very simple. They're designed to all look the same. You walk into an arcade in Japan, this is what you would see, all of them lined up. And all of them having the same button pinout, because of course JAMA was started in Japan. And so they really embraced the JAMA standard with everything they did. And that's why these candy cabs are so, respected over there, because of the fact that they are built well. They're workhorses, because they know that these people come in and play some of them 24 hours a day, open 24 hours, and they will sit in there all day long and play. Okay, so they're built to last, which explains their price on this. So this is where things get a little bit pricier. As you can see, we're talking $1,100. Now, for $1,100, what are you getting? You're getting an all metal cabinet. That's what you're getting. This machine is all metal. So full metal. Look at that. So here's an interesting option as well that you're paying for. You can go from vertical to horizontal by flipping the screen, which is, from what I understand, pretty standard over there. So basically, they're not limited to, like, here in this industry, when I was in it full tilt back in the early 90s, you had to pick what cabinet you were putting in. If you weren't willing to flip the monitor, that meant it had to be a vertical and or horizontal, depending on what you were putting in it. And then if you were going to convert it fully to, say, horizontal to vertical, that meant you had to reframe your monitor, make sure that it was able to hold that 150 pounds of chassis. It was a lot of work. Over there, they would slide it out, spin it, put it back in place. That was it. Then they would lock it down probably with some bolts. You're good to go. Okay, this also uses official Sanwa buttons and joysticks, which is the industry standard in Japan. JAMA I/O, I'm assuming you can put your JAMA cabinets inside this machine, has an I/O board, will read everything. It also has CGA, EGA, VGA, and HDMI video outputs, and that's something we'll talk about with their monitors. The resolution is 4.3, and it's a 26-inch or 1440 by 1080p. All right, you've got your headphone jack, you've got a power supply, and then you've got an encoder board for the controllers. All right, so $1,169, you're getting an all metal cabinet. That's the price difference. You're not dealing with wood here, folks. This is what do they call it? Well, it's metal, but it's sheet metal is what it is. So it's all sheet metal, solid. This thing weighs a ton, I guarantee you. But it's built to last. You're going to have this cabinet decades. You're not going to have to worry about things peeling. You're not going to worry about wood swelling. This cabinet will last you the duration. This is a lifetime cabinet here. Okay. LED light box, very similar to all their headers over there. Very small and discreet. Speakers next to each other. Okay. You can see their standard button layout over there. 8 buttons, 1 and 2 player. You got the joysticks on either side. Very, very standard over there. Everything is Sanwa, which is the industry standard in Japan. Let's see what else you got here. You got your edge connector for JAMA, so you can plug JAMA boards in, like I said. You got a power connect. Well, you got a 4.2 millimeter connector interface for a more secure connection to JAMA edge connector adapter. So basically, they have their standard. You put your adapter on for your JAMA harness and slap that thing in there, you're good to go. You do have your +5, -5 output. No +12. That's very interesting because that's usually how we get our sound. But it could be that the boards over there are using 5 volt or -5 volt, probably -5 volt for their sound. It is a 5 up to 8 pin joystick support. You have your audio amplifier for your speakers and or your headphones. You can synchronize the output control. They're probably using 0 delay, which are perfect. I mean, it would take a very discerning arcade expert to notice any delay in a 0 delay. They say 0 delay. We're talking milliseconds. It's nothing. And then you have your display output. You can do, EGA or CGA depending on what your board is, out to your monitor. Okay. This thing is the real deal. This is why you're going to pay $1,100 for this machine right here. It is incredible the amount of work that they put into this. And I always found that the candy caps are really cool looking, very stylish, very 90s colors. All of them are exactly the same, pretty much. They all have very bright, colorful control panels, headers, the whole thing, but then all in that standard white. They were always white. No matter where I've been, I've never seen a different color until we get to the next one. All right, you got your coin acceptor here. You got your storage box for your coins, of course. You've got full-on casters and wheels. Okay, you can roll that thing around anywhere. This is the standard height for a candy cab. So candy cabs were designed specifically to sit in front of, not stand all the time, because you know these players, like I said over there, they're serious players, and they will play for a solid day. They're not staying in front of a cabinet. Their quarters will be lined up, and they're there all day long. Especially when they have, competitions. They're there all day long. So, yeah, it's just unbelievable the amount of effort and hard work that they put into something like this. And not having to have it shipped from Japan. This is built in America to mimic everything that their cabinet does, which I think speaks volumes of this company. Okay, so that's the standard. So let's go down here to the U4 series before we hit the big one. Let's see what the difference is now. This one's 1169 as well. I believe the other one was that as well. Let's see what the difference is here. This one does the same stuff, the rotation of the monitor, the whole shebang. It's basically the same cabinet. I don't understand what the differences are, but apparently there are differences. Maybe it's got a bigger monitor than the other one. That could be what it is. So, all right, let's go to the U3. Now this is the Raiden series. This one was designed basically for Raiden. Black cabinet. Gorgeous, and cheaper for some reason. I like this one a lot more than the standard candy cab because it's that color. I think it pops a lot more with the other colors around it. I also like, if you notice, the speakers are inverted towards the player, so you're getting probably richer sound because it's pointed towards you, even though they're higher than where you are. But yeah, pretty much the same setup. Now this one is probably lower because you can't flip the monitor. I guarantee you this was designed for, so this one actually has shooters built into it. So this is really designed for vertical shooters. That's why it's cheaper. So you got your Raiden Fires, Raiden DX, Raiden 2, Raiden Fighters 2 Operation Helldive, and Raiden Fighters Jet, and then Dark Mist, which I've never heard of. So this is really what it was designed to do. It's for scrolling shooters, vertical scrolling shooters. It's very specific. And Raiden really led the charge in hyper fast shooting games. It was like almost the beginning of that. There were several games in between. I would say that really pushed that envelope, but when most people talk about arcade shooters, they're talking about Raiden before anything. Gorgeous cat. I mean, look at that. Just perfect. Like if I had the room for that, I would buy that in a heartbeat. That would be one in my room right now. You'll notice it's only got the 6 buttons instead of 8. 26-inch screen. That's amazing. I love that they're American coin acceptors, so they're going to take quarters out of the box. I love the artwork. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely. Look at that thing. That is crazy right there. Absolutely crazy. That is one sick cabinet. That is, and nobody's bought it yet. That's kind of shocking. Now, I think this one just came up too. This is like new. But this is what they're known for, guys. They're known for quality, okay? So yeah, their price point's up there with this particular cabinet. but it's all metal, welded on the inside, smooth on the outside. You know, probably a powder powder finish. Like they're not using spray paint on these things. All right, they're putting in the effort to make these things as legit as possible. Okay, this is what you call an adult arcade game, a big boy arcade game right here. That is incredible. And if it had JAMA output, man, forget it. Winner there, because, man, there are so many good vertical shooters that if this has a JAMA pinout inside, done and done. You'd be able to load this thing up with just about anything you want. Absolutely incredible. Those are the cabinets. There's not many, but these are the cabinets that they're working with, and I think it's incredible that they're able to do this, you know, with what they're working with. There's not much, but what you get is the real deal, okay? And that's why they're a step above what everybody else is doing. Okay, so that's their cabinets. They also do monitors, okay? Now, their Phoenix series monitors I've heard of in the past, and they are highly regarded because they have 4 individual outputs. Typically, a monitor today that you would use in an arcade machine will have your basically your EGA, or your color input. So you'd have your green, blue, red, and sync and ground. And that would basically comprise your signal, okay? But this one goes a step further. It gives you VGA, HDMI, and CGA all in one monitor, okay? That's what makes it different than the rest, because these guys thought ahead and said, if we're going to build a monitor, we're going to build a really good monitor. And that's what we wanted, okay? Now you're going to notice there are varying sizes, okay? You got your 26 inches, your 19, which is pretty much a standard. Any classic arcade game from the 1980s will use a 19 inch, you know. And then you got into the 25 inches, which is this guy, when you know, games like Street Fighter, things like that came out. 30 inch is basically where you had the pedestal machines. You remember those? Those were like the control panel up front, and then there was this. It was a pedestal, but it was connected to a monitor. The monitor was on a separate frame against the outside frame. And this guy is a 25 inch. This is basically a CRT replacement. So it will probably do all your standard outputs, but really give you the arcade quality. Let's find out. 60 hertz, 4.3, 1600 by 1200. That's not bad. Yeah, these machines, these monitors are the bomb. I've heard nothing but good. And the funny thing is, I knew nothing about Unico, but I knew about these monitors for a very long time. These guys have been around since, I think, 2020. And word got out about these monitors when people were converting their monitors from arcade one-ups when they would go out. Because you could use the 19, which basically fit in the 17-inch hole, from what I understand. And so, like, if you were to go with the 19-inch, this is your industry standard right here. That price point, right on the money. That is what everybody's paying right now. A little bit more, about $250 for a standard 19-inch with only the 2 basic outputs. So you're getting 2 extra outputs for the same price. So that's definitely worth it. I really think that's incredible that they're able to give that kind of price on something like that. And you can see it's easy to mount, which is great. They come with 4 holes on each side, which is really, you know, what you need, especially when you're dealing with older cabinets. Now, the disappointing, unless these brackets come off, they'd be tough in a vertical monitor. You'd have to kind of futz around with the hardware inside to make it mount. Because typically your vertical monitors have the brackets on the sides. So basically what's up and down right now would be your sides. So these would be over here and over here. And like for your Pac-Man, your Galaga, Galaxy, any Valley Midway, that's how those would be mounted. That doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means that's, you know, the only thing I see that really would set this off. But, you know, you can work around that. That's easy. But I've heard the resolution is very, very good on this. So this is what, you know, like a lot of the industry is using now, or these monitors, because, you know, the days of having working CRTs are kind of sliding past us pretty quick. I remember about 15 years ago, there was one company out of Korea that was actually making CRT stuff, and they weren't very good quality. They would last about 4 or 5 years, and they would start to fail. And you know, it's very sad because, you know, there's something to be said about a CRT. It's curved, it's low. There's a certain blurriness to it that can't really be emulated in a flat screen. And I remember when I did a kit years and years ago, I had a cabinet. It was right at the beginning of the 2000s. And this is right when the multi-boards came out. I had a customer, they had a Williams cabinet. It was empty. And I said, well, you know, this looks like a joust. I said, we can, you know, build a joust. He said, nope, I want a multi-board. And multi-boards were really shunned upon at that time. Like it was terrible. Now, that's not to say I didn't sell them, because most of my clientele at the time were people who never had a cabinet in their life, and 90% of what I was selling were cocktail tables. So they were always elated to have these cocktail tables with, you know, I think at the time when I was super busy, it was about 48 games. And they were happy because it was all the stuff they remembered. And that's really what it was about back then. So I remember the monitor worked, but it wasn't great. And I told them, I said, I can recap it. I think your flyback needs to be replaced. I can change that out. Parts are still available back then, so it was easy to change things out like that. Like, nope, I want a flat screen. And I went, well, we didn't have this type of flat screen back then. We were still about 10 years from having standard. But he wanted a computer monitor, you know. And I said, well, I can put it in there because it has a VGA. And, you know, those were tough because you're talking about 30 pounds of dead weight. Then you'd have to frame the whole thing out. And it was an LCD. It wasn't a computer monitor like everybody knows. It was LCD like these. And you could tell right away. It was the difference. There was no scan lines. There was no haze that you would get off a standard CRT. It was very different. Didn't make it bad. It just like, you know, we use the term pixel perfect now. That's basically was you could see every single pixel of everything that was being created in front of you. So it was a very different look at the time when I put it together. Now, as time has gone on, I'm like, you know, our resources are scarce when it comes to CRTs. We're just not making them. Okay. Collectors have their hoard. They're not going to get rid of them. Sometimes you can find boards that need to be rebuilt, but not picture tubes. So these are the options you have. Now, the one advantage, massive advantage, is the weight. Because again, a typical 19-inch monitor back then weighed about 60 to 70 pounds dead weight. If it was 25, it was about 150 easily, because it was glass and metal brackets. It was massive. You throw this in there, that's about maybe 20 pounds tops. It's like you throw it in, the cabinet becomes tremendously lighter, easier to move around, because most of your weight came from the top of the machine. Now with, you know, modern technology, we can simulate scan lines fairly easy to mixed results. Some people love them, some people hate them. I work with Pi. It has a series of filters. They're not like a lot of your minis that you plug into your TV have a standard one-size-fits-all scan line generator, and that's it. You're done. There's nothing else you can have. With the Pi, it does have several variants, and you can adjust for size, for brightness of the scan lines, things like that. You can go in and make some code adjustments, and you can get fairly good results if you tweak it. But you have to tweak it in order to make that work, and you have to know what you're doing to make it work. So, you know, my opinion is really simple. I've always said it: play the way you want to play. And more importantly, play the way you have to play, because it depends on your needs, your financial situation, things like that. So if you had a older cabinet, you know, like the guy had, you know, a Williams cab, this would be perfect because it would fit right in. I bolt it down quickly. All my outputs are right there, or all my inputs are right there. It's a 12-volt power supply. Plug it in, Bob's your uncle. No isolation, no nothing. You just plug it in and away it goes. And, you know, being in the industry now, that's the standard. I mean, we use flat screens for everything now. I mean, it's a different world, you know. And it's not the hardware, it's the software. Software generates its own softness, lighting effects, things like that. You get a nice picture, something very reminiscent to a CRT. And so to each his own. I mean, I build stuff all day long with Pis, and I would use a monitor like that. If one of my arcade ones went down, I would buy this in a heartbeat, because Arcade One Up's going to charge me almost that much for their crummy monitors. You know, now granted, mine have lasted, knock on wood. I haven't had any problems with them yet, but you know, they're hitting a decade. My Turtle's 3 more years. It's 10 years old. You know, you've got Arcade One Ups now that are that old. You know, right out of the gate. You know, they came out in 2016, so you know, they're showing their age and whatnot. But here's my hot take. Okay, this is 2 different things. You've got, you know, the Arcade One Up series are starter cabs. People want something in their house, nostalgic, that quick fix, that, you know, these guys are building something you're going to keep for a very, very long time, i.e. the price point on these candy cabs. You know, the SNK series, now, that's looks like a very good build, so this will last a long time too, and with as many options as they're giving, you're going to get years of use out of this. And knowing that they're manufacturing the monitors, this will be an easy swap out. So like, you know, that monitor's that standard 17-inch/19 inches they're selling, that's going to be taking this glass off, you're going to unbolt the thing, slap the new one in, Bob's your uncle, you got it done in about 10 minutes, okay? That's why a company like this is really what this industry needs. The home arcade market needs a company like this to come out and say, look what we're doing. We're not doing as much as you guys are. And let's face it, I have some very sketchy resources as of right now as to what's coming out from Arcade One Up. It's going to be the same stuff they've been selling for the last 8 years, only bigger. And there may be a rumor, and we may talk about this later on this week, about rumored Data East cap. And one of my all-time favorite Data East games, which I had done in my Data East series 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something, was listed in there, and that's Gondomania. Now, Gondomania was so much fun. It was basically ships shooting at each other. You destroy the ship, you collect coins, you can get power-ups and weapons from them and keep on going. Problem is, they use one of the dial rotary joysticks, okay? So unless this thing comes included, and if it doesn't, it means it's emulated, which means it could be emulated crummy, and you'll have an unplayable game. So it's really, you know, in my opinion, a mixed bag. If it comes out, great. It has some pretty decent titles on it. It's got all your classics, got your Burger Time and your Bump and Jump, and it has Ice Cream Factory on it and a few other, you know, tidbits. But that's a rumor right now. I don't know that they're coming out with that. I heard through some chats that could be happening. But personally, I think it's going to be the same schlock we've been seeing for the last 5-6 years, with the exception of the Sonic the Hedgehog one, which honestly, unless you're a diehard Sonic the Hedgehog fan, you're not going to buy it. It's really localized. But I'm leaving that for after Thursday because they're doing their big announcement on Thursday. But tonight was all about this Unico. Please go check them out at unicousa.com and check it out. Check out their products. I think they're going to surprise you. Again, you're talking basically 3 cabinets total, but what they're offering is really high quality as opposed to low quality at the same price. I mean, again, $569 for the SNK now. It is on sale, normally $648. Usually when you see a sale like this, it doesn't typically go away anytime soon. So, you know, and this is the bundle now that I'm looking at it. So look at this. Over here, you've got where I'm clicking. So that's the MVSX combo with the base for that price, for $569. Now, if I do this, if I click it, that's $649 for the stool, okay? And then this is the one with the riser, which is the same price. So basically, you would get that extension plus the riser at the bottom, brings it up to almost a full height cabinet, which I think is really cool. Then you've got your deluxe package here. You've got all this stuff right here for $699. So for $700, you're getting this whole package. Definitely worth it. I mean, it would be nice if they threw out a second stool because it's a 2-player cabinet, so that kind of sucks. But I would more than likely go for this guy, $649, buy my own stools. That way I've got a stool for each person playing. And then your standard is only $499. That's a great deal. It's a countertop at that point. I love that it has this little thing here. It looks like the coin door. That's pretty cool. You know, I've never been a fan of the drill hole speaker grill, but you know, nobody's saying you can't mod that. Just put a speaker grill over it, and it looked great. But I love the look of it because they retained like the control panel overlay, its colors. They're using really high quality controls. The header looks fantastic. Yeah, that's really, really sharp in my opinion. Really sharp. So this is Unico Arcade Industries, and I'm kind of glad I found them, and I'm going to keep an eye on them. And they have a YouTube channel and everything else, so I might post some of their videos alongside mine and show you exactly how their products fare. In fact, hey, why not? Let's go to YouTube. Let's check out their YouTube video. Hopefully my sound is on for my video, but we'll see. If not, we will definitely do this with oh, that was another thing I want to show you. Okay, we got to go back for just a second. There's one more product, and I forgot, and it's called the Traveler, okay? They're building a 4x3 monitor, like the real deal. Now, yes, it's a flat screen, but it is 4x3 aspect ratio. It has all the inputs necessary for your later model home units. You know, I'd say like everything from like TurboGrafx up is what you're going to be able to hook up into this thing. It is on Kickstarter right now. I am going to check to see how it's going because I want one so bad it hurts. That would fit perfectly on my entertainment center. I could mod my ColecoVision to work into that, no problem whatsoever. So it's your native 4x3, okay? No black bars, no stretched or distortion. It is pixel for pixel, okay? You can toggle to sRGB mode for more accurate color resolution. Yep, you can do original ICRT. Okay, so look at all these pinouts right here. Okay, you've got enough here. You can plug in at least 2 machines. Okay, looks that way. You got, okay, so you got your video, audio out, and then your green, blue, red, VGA. You can do an HDMI. You know, if you have a mini, it would work on that, no problem. Yeah, this is incredible. I mean, look at that thing. It's gorgeous. Looks like a late 80s, early 90s television. Volume knob, the whole shebang up front. Let's see what this is about. Oh my god. Let's see. Hold on. Insert game ROM. Oh, no way. This is an emulator, guys. Oh, I can have fun with this. We won't do that right now. You can actually put your own ROM in there and see what it looks like on that monitor. That's incredible. Yeah, we'll play with that some other time. But it comes in 3 flavors. I love the red and white, very reminiscent of the Famicom. Looks really cool. Your cream white, your studio gray. This looks almost like a computer monitor in the day, right there. But I like that. I like that red. Almost like a lot of things in 1985 came out in that color, which is really bizarre. But I like that. But yeah, I mean, look at that thing. You can hook a computer to it. You can hook your console to it. Unbelievable. These guys. I don't know what other accessories they sell. Oh, their bass, their risers, that kind of thing. So basically, if you don't buy it, you can get it from them. Okay? They have support. Here's their About Us. Let's read about their About Us, of course. All right. Founded in 2019, they established themselves as a leading innovator in retro gaming. It's funny because I didn't know about these guys for the longest time. The company made its mark with the Unico MVS X, which is what I found. I mean, literally, that was all over my feed for like a year. Let's see, Unico introduced the Visco Dynamic, an 8-inch arcade machine developed with Visco, which I've heard of that too. I'll have to look that one up. And then in 2022, they did their monitors. These guys are doing it right, in my opinion. They are. It looks like they've tested the waters. They've partnered with companies that Arcade 1UP hasn't. You know, goes back to the ColecoVision story I always love, is that Coleco knew that Atari had Pac-Man, so they're like, we're going after everybody else. We'll get Nintendo, we'll get this, we'll get that. And that's what these guys are doing on a smaller scale. They're saying, hey, you know what everybody wants? Neo Geo, man. We're going to get Neo Geo. And they got it. Then they said, hey, let's reverse engineer the Candy Cab and let's release our own version. And that's what they did. You know, these guys are doing it right, in my opinion. Now, if you have the money to spend and you're into SNK titles, if you're into candy cabs, and a lot of you are, this is the company you need to reach out to right here. $1,100 is not bad for an all-metal cabinet. I mean, I've seen those things go at auction for close to $2,000 easily, if they were in good shape. Considering that they're very rare here in the States, absolutely. So that's definitely worth the money. So this is Unico. I'm going to put their link up on the website, including this news report about them. I'm really, really impressed, and I hope to keep an eye on them and maybe eventually, if I have enough room, purchase one of their cabinets. I really would love the Neo Geo, because I emulate Neo Geo now, and I love like League Bowling, which is one of my guilty pleasures, Magician Lord, now I'm 75. Viewpoint, the original Viewpoint, great game, love that one. Not a big fighter person, but World Heroes got my attention, and Samurai Spirits got my attention. Senjoku got my attention. I love that game. So yeah, these guys are definitely worth looking into. So I'm going to end it there. We're at the 50-minute mark, and I really appreciate you guys joining me tonight in the arcade layer and going over Unico. I think they're definitely a company to look at. Heck, I might even put their website link up on the archives itself so you guys can go check them out. So I will see you probably towards the end of the week. Live streams are coming back very soon, guys. I'm doing a hardwired thing to my computer to, increase my bandwidth, which has been the biggest problem, is the bandwidth issue. So I'll be doing that very, very soon. But we're going to do a Comic-Con review of Arcade 1-Up Basic Fun. See what's coming out. Maybe that's not everything that I saw. Maybe there's more coming down the pike. I really hope so, because they're showing the same 4 cabinets all over again, only taller. And but these guys, check them out. I'm going to talk to you guys later. Keep playing like it's 1981, and I will see you the next time right here in the arcade layer. I'll talk at you later.